Imagine a painting, a famous one, hanging in the Grand Palace of Versailles in France. It's a portrait of Napoleon Bonaparte, not the one where he's astride a rearing horse or with his hand mysteriously tucked into his jacket. This one captures a youthful Napoleon, thin and sharp-chinned in his modest military uniform, his platinum locks wispy in the air. He's brandishing a saber, waving a French flag with a backdrop of smoke. There are similar paintings of him, crossing a bridge with his flag, or standing victorious while Austrian soldiers retreat in disarray. These are symbols of French victory, bravery, and dominance. But let's be clear, most of these paintings are pure baloney. Fabrications, exaggerations, and utter nonsense. Yes, Napoleon was present at the battle depicted in these paintings, the Battle of Arcole in 1796. But contrary to what the paintings portray, he never even got close to the flag, let alone touch it. Historian Philip Dwyer, author of Citizen Emperor, reveals that Napoleon is portrayed on a bridge with the flag, but he didn't get within 60 meters of it. At one point, he was actually blown into a ditch, and he had to be rescued by his grenadiers. If not for them, he could have drowned. The Battle of Arcole was part of the larger siege of Mantua, which in turn was part of a broader campaign to oust Austria and England from northern Italy. It was during this campaign, in March of 1796, that Napoleon was promoted to commander and given the reins of the French army in Italy, a force that was weak and crumbling. Despite the odds, Napoleon managed to hold his own at a small bridge for 3 days during the Battle of Arcole, sending Austrian generals fleeing. But here's the clincher. After the battle, Napoleon, the newly minted commander, hurried back to Milan and commissioned a painting from the famous artist Baron Antoine Jean Gros. This painting put Napoleon at the center of the action, holding the flag dropped at the bridge in Arcole. Because as much as Napoleon was a military genius, he might secretly have been history's greatest manipulator. We admire his military prowess, but the manipulator? That's someone we could learn from. Every one of us knows a manipulator. They're the ones who have the uncanny knack of making us do things we wouldn't usually do, or think things we wouldn't typically think. They're the ones who make us question our own judgment, even when we know better. Take, for instance, a cunning salesman. He makes you feel like he's doing you a favor, giving you the friends and family discount on an overpriced laptop. He convinces you that you're getting a great deal, even though you had no intention of buying a laptop in the first place. It's a subtle game of persuasion, and before you know it, you're walking out the door, lighter in the wallet, but richer in regret. Or consider a crafty co-worker. They regularly use their kids as an excuse to leave work early, leaving the rest of the team to pick up the slack. They play on your sympathies and your sense of obligation, making you feel guilty for even questioning their actions. It's manipulation at its finest, and it leaves you feeling frustrated and taken advantage of. And then there's the politician. They're the ones who paint themselves as heroes of the people, promising to champion your causes and fight for your rights. But beneath the surface, they're passing bills that favor their interests, not yours. They're playing a game of smoke and mirrors, and the sad part is, we often don't realize we're being played until it's too late. But what is manipulation, really? At its core, it's the ability to influence someone's behavior or perception, often through fear, guilt, or a sense of obligation. It's about gaining power and control, getting what you want without directly asking for it. It's a dark art, and it's one that's been practiced for centuries by the likes of Napoleon Bonaparte, arguably history's greatest manipulator. So, how do we spot a manipulator? And how do we know when they're manipulating us? It starts with understanding their tactics, recognizing their patterns, and learning to trust our instincts. Because in the end, the best defense against manipulation is awareness. Let's debunk a few myths about manipulators. You might think that good manipulators are always subtle, that they weave their magic so stealthily that you won't even know you're being manipulated. Well, that's a myth. The truth is, manipulation can be as blatant as a neon sign or as subtle as a whisper. It depends on the manipulator and the situation. Another common misconception is that manipulators are always successful. Not true. Just like any other skill, some people are better at it than others. And even the best manipulators can fail if they underestimate their target or overestimate their own abilities. You might also believe that manipulators are always evil. Again, this is a myth. Manipulation isn't inherently good or bad. It's a tool, like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a house or to break a window. It's not the tool, but the intention behind its use that determines whether it's good or bad. A popular myth is that you can't protect yourself from manipulators. This is false. You can arm yourself with knowledge and awareness. Understanding the tactics manipulators use and being aware of your own vulnerabilities can help you protect yourself. Now let's turn to a Time magazine article that gives us some insight into manipulation. The article breaks down how manipulation works and what side people land on. It suggests that manipulation involves three key elements: fear, obligation, and guilt. Manipulators use these emotions to control and influence others. For example, a manipulator might make you feel afraid of losing something, obligated to do something, or guilty for not doing something. These emotions can cloud your judgment and make you more susceptible to manipulation. Remember, manipulation isn't always about what the manipulator wants, it's also about what you're willing to give. So stay aware, stay informed, and don't let anyone else pull your strings. Manipulation is an emotionally unhealthy psychological strategy. But by understanding it, by dispelling the myths, we can better protect ourselves and make more informed decisions. Napoleon Bonaparte, the master manipulator himself. He was a tactical genius on the battlefield, but his true genius lay in his ability to manipulate situations, people, and even history. He understood the power of perception and used it to his advantage, painting himself as a hero and a savior. He commissioned paintings, controlled information, and even manipulated events to create a narrative that served his ambitions. He understood the art of persuasion and used it not just to win battles, but to win the hearts and minds of his people. Similar tactics are employed by modern-day manipulators, from politicians spinning facts to their advantage, to corporations controlling narratives to suit their interests. They understand, like Napoleon, that perception often trumps reality. We can learn from Napoleon's manipulative tactics, not to employ them, but to recognize and resist them. Because in the end, the most potent weapon against manipulation is awareness and understanding.